Welcome to the Plenty of Ammo podcast, bringing you interviews with celebrities, sports stars, and many, many more. The Plenty of Ammo podcast, having real conversations about real life events. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some real conversation from a scouter that doesn't hold his tongue. The Plenty of Ammo podcast, with your host, Sean Ammo.
Okay, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Plenty of Ammo podcast. I'm very happy to announce that we are sponsored by Premier Commercial Kitchens today. So thank you to our sponsors. And as promised, I've got a very, very, very special guest lined up. But just before we chat to our special guest, I just want to let you know what we're all about. So basically, I'm going to be bringing real interviews with celebrities, sports stars, and people with stories to tell. So hopefully people listening will find the stories that I hear very interesting. And it's nothing that's kind of bores people out, and these very interesting stories to tell. But without further ado, here we go. My very first guest, also my cousin, the one and only Natasha Hamilton, who is now gay. She's recently married. So welcome, Natasha. How are you?
Let's clarify that. I'm not actually gay. My name is Natasha Gay. Just for clarification.
There you go. Good start.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's married life?
Married life's, yeah, it's great. We've been together for, nearly 6 years now. So we were more or less married. We've just got the official paperwork now. Which is great because that means I'm entitled to half of everything he's got. Whoop, whoop.
There you go.
Joking.
How's it like juggling, 4 kids, busy career, with him and yourself? How's that like juggling it all together now?
Well, I've got 4 kids, but my eldest, he left 3 years ago. He's in the army now, and he's doing his own thing and doing really well. But just like anyone else, all the other mums and dads out there, juggling life, juggling work, careers, and everything else in between, you just do what you need to do, really, don't you? You wake up in the morning and you know what you've got to get done. Half the time, my to-do list is like not ticked off at all. But yeah, life is busy, but that's all I've ever known. I've been a mum now for almost 20 years. So for me, I don't really remember life before kids.
Yeah. I understand that. And a shout out, I must have to give a shout out to our Josh. He's in the army, he's doing well, isn't he? And has been for a long time.
Yeah, I can't say too much because every time I open him out, he goes, "Mum, what are you talking about it for?" But basically, he's in the army, he's a para, and he loves it. And I'm very, very, very proud of him.
That's brilliant. Well, I can't embarrass him. I can say he's doing the family proud as well. So I've seen me videos and we clips and we pictures in the family WhatsApp group, and he's doing the family proud. So fair play to him. But you know what? That's actually a good way to kind of bring it back to start for you, Natasha. So, your mum and dad, you were raised in Kensington, which anyone listening, well, most people listening won't know, anything about Kensington, but me and you do. So tell me how you went from living in Kenny, Liverpool, to being an international pop star.
Well, people from Liverpool will know where Kenny is, and they'll probably go, "Ooh, Kenny." But back in the day when I was growing up, there was a massive sense of community. Everybody knew each other. All like the older neighbours, or all the R1s, as we say, they'd be sat on the step, and all the kids would be like gabbing away to them, so you could get like some sweets off them. And it was just like a really nice place to grow up. Don't get me wrong. It was hard, it's very working class. Thank God I was a good runner. I was a cross-country runner, but I was also a sprinter, because there was many a time walking up and down Kenny, and then, there'd be gangs just like after you. And because I was a ginge, because I was a redhead back in the 80s, early 90s, like that was just like a red flag to like come and beat me up. true story. So the amount of times I've been running for my life through Kenny, like it was quite a regular occurrence. But they could never catch me because I was a good runner, thank God. But I mean, I've got nothing but great memories growing up. We still say our house. I've taken my kids to our old house in Kenny to kind of show them like how privileged they are. Like, I come from very humble beginnings. I grew up in a terrace house, 2 up, 2 down. I shared a bunk bed with my sister until I signed a record deal and left home at the age of 16. But that house was just full of love, full of laughter. The amount of parties we had, like christenings and whatnot, and everyone would be crammed in. And our kitchen was the size of half the size of the room I'm sat in now, and like you don't get like 20 people in that kitchen. And there's just lots of love and fond memories towards that house, and it's the longest house I've ever lived in. It was really weird going back, actually, because I was kind of loitering outside and I thought, I best knock on here before someone comes out and like gives me a smack or something, thinking what she doing. And this lady opened the door, and she was Asian. She didn't really speak good English, and I was trying to explain through sign language that I grew up in that house. And she invited me in, and I actually stood in the living room, and wow, what a mad experience that was, because to me that house was like, I don't know, it just felt like a big house, but as an adult stood in the living room, it was tiny. And just I even feel emotional now thinking about it, because we loved my mum and dad. Like, that was our safe haven, away from the crazy world that we lived in. And just so many memories came flooding back. And yeah, it was a lovely trip down memory lane. And on the same day, I ended up going to my old school and calling in, speaking to the old headmaster. So I went to St. Sebastian's in Fairfield. And then he took me round the school, and I ended up sat in the school hall, because one of the younger kids, like the lower school kids, had a music lesson. And they were singing Que Sera Sera. Oh my God, I've got goosebumps, because so basically I'm sat in my old hall with kids doing a music lesson, singing When I Was Just a Little Girl, I Asked My Mother, what will I be? And it's like Que Sera Sera, whatever will be. And it was just like I had the biggest lump in my throat. I thought, who would have thought back then what life would have laid ahead of me, and I felt really proud of what I'd achieved and what I have achieved in life, personal and career-wise as well.
Natasha, I have to say now you mentioned humble beginnings, and I was having this conversation, I can't remember who with, but I was having a conversation recently, and my very first memory of you, Natasha, and let's give a shout out to Georgina too, was you and your dad and your mum coming outside our house, because we grew up in Kensington. And back in the day, I know lots of people listening, they might not relate to this, but I'm sure you can. And your dad come with a couple of bin bags full of clothes that you and Georgina had been wearing, and they passed them on to my little sister. And you're sitting there and you're like, back in the day, that was just a normal thing to do. And that's where you mentioned the humble beginnings. And that's actually my very first memory of you. And you mentioned the red hair. I remember like looking, thinking, oh, because you were both ginger, there's the 2 ginger girls. And that was my first memory of you. I was only maybe 6 or 7, maybe a little bit younger. I don't know. You wouldn't have been much older than maybe early teens, but that's my very first memory. You mentioned the humble beginnings, and I can relate, because I went back to my old house in Kenny. Let's call it Kenny.
Was that off? Was it Holt Road?
Yes, Cotswold Street.
I remember.
There you go. So
Blood.
there you go.
So
that was my.
Do come from very humble beginnings, but
yeah,
makes you do your art, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. As I say, we come from a big family. There's hundreds and hundreds of us. But that started a lot of Liverpool, a lot of people from Liverpool and big families, and in them days, you come from big families. So anyway, so I think we've got your humble beginnings. You're in Kensington, you're Liverpool. Your sister, your mum and dad. Shout out to Uncle Georgie, by the way. What a cool dude he is. I look at people and I look at Uncle Georgie, go, geez, when I'm his age, I want to be as cool as him. But there you go. That's neither here nor there. It's about yourself. So how did you go from being, in the school in Fairfield to being in Attomic Kitten?
I mean, to be honest, I found a lot of respite in singing. When I was at school, I was bullied really bad, and I couldn't really get away from it. If it wasn't because of the colour of my hair, it was because I had braces. If it wasn't because of my braces, it was because, I don't know, just kids just being mean, really. And I always felt like quite very conscious and scared. But then when I would sing, everyone would go, "Oh God, listen to Natasha's voice," and it was like a safe place for me, and it was a comfortable environment where I actually felt good about myself. And I think I just latched onto it, and it became something that I obsessed about. I would come home from school, I'd run up to my bedroom, and between 4 and 6 o'clock, because we lived in terraced houses, and I'd be belting out Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and the neighbours would be banging on the wall. So my dad would be like, "You've got 2 hours, and then you can't sing past 6 because the neighbours are going to cause murder." And I'd come home, and my mum used to take me and get backing tapes from a place called Amaret's down Scotty Road, and I just used to put them on in my little stack system and just sing for 2 hours solid every night. Then at the age of 12, I was singing in the pub on Shield Road, and this woman was there, and she's like, "There's this group for kids. It's called the Starlight Roadshow, and I think she'd love it. You should give them a call." So my mum called them up, and we'd rehearse every Tuesday, and it was basically a bunch of kids through lower school, middle school, and some of the older girls who were in college. And we would go to every theatre, pub, club, Dockers Club, Labour Club, whatever club it was, we'd go, and it would be like Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes Saturday day, sometimes Sunday day. So from the age of 12, I was doing 4 shows every weekend and rehearsing every Tuesday. I was super focused. I knew what I wanted to do. And that's how I learned my craft, by standing on a stage in a smoky social club. To be honest, most people are not really giving a shit. They just wanted to get off work and have a bevy and enjoy themselves. And there's a load of kids singing and dancing in the background. But as I got older and the songs become more powerful, people would put the pint down or the G&T down, and they turn around and go, "We were like the voice on this kid." And that's when I knew I was like, something good's happening here, because I was grabbing their attention. And that obviously gives you more confidence. So when I left school, I was doing that until I left school. My dad threatened me. He said, basically, if you don't do well in your GCSEs, you can't go to performing arts school. So that was it for me. I was like, get my head down, study hard. Did well, went to performing arts college, and I was only there for about 4 months, and the audition for Attomic Kitten came up. Yeah.
Right.
And
so, tell me more. So from a pub in Shield Road, I can only imagine what it's like being in a pub in Shield Road in the 90s. I can only imagine. I don't want to know. I can only imagine. So from that to your first audition, how did that go then, Natasha? Obviously, the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I came home from college, and my mum said, "I've got you an audition for some girl band." Back then, there was like a paper called The Stage, and it used to be inside the Echo. So it'd come out like every Thursday, and I'd be rummaging through, what audition can I go to? My mum used to drive me everywhere. I'd be doing competitions, singing to win money. It was brilliant. I was like, God, I get to sing and I get to win money. Brilliant. And then there was an audition looking for girls with attitude. So I come home, and my mum said, "I've got you this audition, it's on Friday." But back then, the college I was working in, a lot of the people my age were going off to holiday camps. And my best mate at the time literally just got a job in a holiday camp in the Lake District. And on the Wednesday, the woman that run the college, Carol, she asked me to come into the office and said, "Oh, there's a job on Chris's holiday camp. They need someone to go ASAP. And I was like, well, when? She went, well, tomorrow. It's a 6-month contract. And I went, oh, I can't go, Carol, because I've got an audition for a girl band on Friday. So that was like my sliding doors moment. I could have said yes, packed my bag and gone to the lakes the next day and started earning money. But I knew I wanted to be in a band. Like that was, at the time, you know, the Spice Girls had been around. I was obsessed. And then you'd have Britney Spears. And I remember watching Hit Me Baby One More Time on MTV, just blown away, going, oh my God, I want to be in a pop video like that. So I stuck around and turned up at the audition on the Friday. I was the first person there, actually. And loads of other girls were coming in after me, and they were getting sent home because they had me in the recording studio. I actually recorded some of the vocals on the very first single, which is Right Now, on my audition day. They literally saw me. My mum, funnily enough, as we were walking in, Andy McCluskey, who wrote all the songs and was putting the band together, walked past me and my mum and was stood behind my mum giving the thumbs up to what was going to be our manager. And my mum turned around and clocked him. So he's going like this, and my mum saw him. And I was there all day, and that was it. I was in the band. They called me a few days later.
Natasha, so you're 16 at this stage, 17?
16.
Wow. Right, okay. So you're in the band. You've eventually released Right Now is the first song, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And then so you're in this world very quickly of celebrity and in this world of pop stardom and stuff. And you say you went from watching Britney Spears on TV and Spice Girls and stuff like that. Tell me what was it like when you first started getting. I'm going to be honest. I can say it. I don't know if you'll say it, but you were getting a big deal. Let's be honest. You were on TV all the time. Local girl from Liverpool. You were the pride and joy of the family, the pride and joy of Liverpool. How did things change, and when did they change?
I got in the band, and then we've got a record deal, and we're up and down from London. It was so exciting. We used to get picked up in a Chrysler Voyager, like this blacked out car. It'd roll up down the street in Kenny. And I'd go bouncing in with my bag, and we'd just be shipped off to an airport or to a hotel in London, and we were just here, there and everywhere. And when I look back, I was loving it. It was like I've been prepping for 4 years for that moment. So for me, I wasn't scared. I was totally embracing the opportunity. I know the other girls didn't feel the same, but for me, that's where I wanted to be, and that's where I was supposed to be. I know my mum and dad found it odd because I was just got the firstborn. All of a sudden, I'm neither here nor there. And back then, mobile phones, it's not like it is now. You'd get a phone, and then I'd just lash it in the bottom of my bag, and 3 days later, I'd be picking it up, and my mum would be like, "Where are you?" And I'd be like, "Mum, I'm working." So they found it hard to cope. They were like, "When are you coming home?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, when I've got a day off," because the schedule was relentless. It was all day, every day.
Yeah. And do you think, Natasha, obviously someone as an outsider who's not really lived in that world might find it a little bit difficult to understand. Do you think you were treated fairly? And I'm not really talking about financially as such. Financial is one part of it. But do you think you were treated fairly as in someone of that age, being through in the spotlight? Do you think it was a great baptism of fire, or do you think it probably should have been a bit more, slower? How do you feel looking back?
Well, we had to grow up very quick. I was a 16-year-old living in an adult's world, and there was so much that I didn't understand and I didn't know. When you sign a record deal, you've got solicitors and lawyers and all kinds. And my mum and dad would be my representative up until the age of 18. But the day I turned 18, they were never invited to another meeting, and I was just expected to know what was going on. And yeah, you don't learn that kind of shit at school. You don't learn about record deals and, you know, like we're talking like we signed a £1.5 million record deal. Now, we didn't get that money. That was what the record label were willing to invest in our success. So when someone's investing £1.5 million, you're going to have to work your ass off. And anyone in this world who succeeded in a business, it's not a 9-to-5 job. You know, if you're wanting to be the best, it's relentless. It is all day, every day. It's minimal sleep. From the minute we wake up, it was, you know, radio interviews all day, driving around. Then in the afternoon, we'd be doing a junior school. Then that'd be like after that late morning. In the afternoon, we'd be performing at a high school. In the evening, we would be in a nightclub. So we were literally up and down the country like yo-yos on a constant promo tour. Sometimes our sleep would be in the car, because by the time we come off stage at a club and we drive to whatever part of the country, there was just no point us even getting out and getting a hotel. So we just sleep in a Voyager. I mean, we weren't on a lot of money in the early days. I mean, it was a lot of money back then. It was like £75 a week. But when you're living away from home and you've got to buy your own clothes and your own food, you know, it was hard work. I remember being in a hotel room. I mean, this is like, it's not a massive sob story, but, you know, we got been given this record deal and we're here, there and everywhere, and we're, you know, a lot of exposure. And I've got about 20p in my purse. And I had like a packet of crisps and a can of Coke for me tea. Because I was like, I don't know, it didn't occur to me to like phone my mum and say, oh, can you borrow me some money? But back then, if you borrowed some money, you get given it in cash. I was at the other end of the country. You can't borrow money off your mum and dad. You know, it was all quite old school back then, and there was time.
Was there no one looking out for you, Natasha? Was there no one like there making sure that you ate right, making sure that you got a bed to sleep in? It seems like you were almost, you don't seem like you regret it, but it seemed like you were almost getting used as, you know, this band to make money, and you wasn't really profiting yourself from it.
Oh, I mean, at that point we weren't profiting. But yeah, I mean, yeah, when you look back at it now, if I was to think that my 16-year-old daughter wasn't even sleeping or just getting minimal sleep and not eating properly, you know, it was full on. As we got more and more successful, more and more people wanted our time. And it got to a point where our half-hour lunch break would be us stuffing a sandwich in our mouth whilst doing an interview. And you think, you know, you wonder why a lot of bands burn out and then they just can't stand each other, because you're exhausted, you're running on empty all the time. And you know what it's like when you're tired, you're snappy, and then you're on top of each other, you're driving around in a Chrysler, or you're on and off planes, you're in and out of a country in a day. It's exhausting. So, you know, things start to irritate you. It's not a normal environment to be in. And when you're young, you're a lot more fiery, a lot more feisty, less patient because you haven't really experienced life. So it was full on. And I think when my mum came and started touring with us, this was after I had Josh, you know, she witnessed it firsthand, and she'd go back to my dad and go, George, them girls are worked to the bone. Like, they don't even eat properly. Like, no wonder that it's so thin. You know, she was quite shocked at what she saw. But back then, it's like, there's no human resources when you're in a pop band. There's no one you can go to and say, oh, by the way, I think we've been treated a little bit unfairly, or can we get more sleep? That just wasn't. It was like, you're Attomic Kitten. You've got an opportunity that most people would die for. So get on with it. And we did.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm looking back, Natasha, because, looking back at that genre, I grew up, I'm a little bit younger than you, and I grew up in that generation of yourselves, S Club 7, Westlife Blue, and, pop stars were everywhere. And you just look at them like, wow, they live an amazing life. And it's mad to actually hear, stories like this, because you just don't, no one would ever think of anything like that. But that's quite mad. But it actually brings us quite nicely onto the second part of our show, which we will be talking about the world of celebrity.
I just want to put something out there. It wasn't all doom and gloom, by the way. I'm just telling you one side of it. The other side was that we were Attomic Kitten and we lived a life that we never thought we would ever live. And we traveled the world and we met incredible people. We were rubbing shoulders with freaking Robbie Williams, who I was like, I idolized him. He was on my bedroom wall for years. And then he's like hugging me and calling me Freckles, which I was a bit pissed off with because I wanted him to fancy me, but I was like a little sister. I think he was more into Jenny. I was fuming.
Well, there you go. We'll definitely come back into that. It'll be exclusive about Robbie Williams. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back in a couple of moments.
At Premier Commercial Kitchens, we don't just offer you a bespoke stainless fabrication service, we hold a huge range of commercial equipment, such as Linkat and Parry, along with vast stock of ductwork and fans such as Flatwoods, Helios, System Air, S&P, and Rugged.
Right, guys, well, welcome back to the Plenty of Ammo podcast, sponsored by Premier Commercial Kitchens. And obviously, I'm here with Natasha Gay, obviously known as Natasha Hamilton from Attomic Kitten. And what we're going to discuss now in the second part of the podcast for the next 25 minutes or so is the world of celebrity, and obviously the up-and-coming tour that Attomic Kitten have after the re-rise to fame since the Euros, and a little bit about Natasha's solo stuff as well. But I think a good way to start, Natasha, is we've went from you being in the band, and then we have to mention this. What was it like when Attomic Kitten got the first number one? That's a moment that I'm sure you treasure forever.
Yeah, honestly, I've got goosebumps already. It was such, there's not that many people on the planet that get to experience that, so it is really special. So in the music industry back in the day, after your first day of sales, you would get what was called a midweek, even though it was only Tuesday. So we'd done like in-store signings in Liverpool, and we were going up against U2 that week. Like everyone was saying, oh, U2 are going to be number one. So we were kind of gunning for them, and we were hoping like top 5, and top 3 would have been amazing. I remember waking up in the hotel in London the next day, and it was my manager, and he's like, midweeks are in. And I was like, go on. And he was like, you're only effing number 1. And I was like, ah! I jumped off the bed. I fell on the floor. I was jumping up and down. I was just like sobbing, like, oh my God. Put the phone down. I was just like crying uncontrollably. And then the next minute, next door, I just said, ah! me and Liz had connecting rooms. So then she put the phone down. She was banging on the door, and I opened the door, and she jumped on me. We were sobbing. We were like, how are we number 1? But we were not only number 1, we'd sold double what U2 had, and then every day through the week we'd get like the next day's midweek in. I think it was going up and up and up and up, and I think by the end of the first week we'd sold over 100,000 copies of Whole Again, and it was just insane.
I was just about to say it was Whole Again, wasn't it? And am I right in saying you're not? It was a Wheatus Teenage Dirtbag off, was it? Am I right in saying that?
Was that number? I thought it was Outcast. Sorry, Miss Jackson, but I might be wrong.
No, that's okay.
You probably researched it. So. Let's go.
I think it was, but anyway, hey, listen, you got to number 1. It's something that not everyone gets to experience. You just alluded to that. And I'm right in saying 3 number 1s altogether and that's just in the UK, isn't it? I'm reading here that you were 5 weeks number 1 in Germany. Is that right?
So Hooligan was 4 weeks at number one in the UK. So that was just mental because not a lot of people have done that. I think we were like 5 weeks at number one in Germany. I think it went 6 weeks number one in Australia. It was number one in 19 countries worldwide. To say our lives changed overnight is an understatement. Honestly, it just became this total whirlwind of, not just the UK, like globally, we were shipped out. We were going to these incredible places, Cape Town, all over Germany, Russia, Australia, all over Southeast Asia. It was just mental. We had such an amazing time. Like all that hard work and all the hard graft paid off, and it was mega. And it was like, I'm going to buy a house.
Did you get to enjoy? Like, did you get to? So you said you mentioned Russia there, all type of countries. Did you get to actually enjoy these countries, or was it again just you on the motion, the wheels on the go? You've got to perform and that's it. Or at this stage, could you maybe dictate a little bit more?
We definitely didn't get any extra time wherever we went, but and because we were young, we weren't very cultural. We weren't going to like museums and stuff like that, but we were always like, we'd go and have nice dinners, and then we'd always find a club and we'd just like go raving all night. And so it was a haze of hard work and hangovers basically.
Oh, no way. And tell me this, we mentioned kind of off air, and we just before we come and step out. So there was a wee story about Robbie Williams. So obviously there's no bigger star back in the day than Robbie Williams at that time. So here's you, a wee girl with attitude from Liverpool. It's in a girl band. That's probably, you've got Robbie Williams on your wall and a poster, like you've said. Next thing you know, you're rubbing shoulders with the likes of Robbie Williams. Like, tell me about it. I don't even know what to say. Just tell me.
So Robbie signed a massive record deal with Virgin Records, which is the label who we were on Innocent Labels, which was an offshoot label of Virgin Records. Also, the Spice Girls were on Virgin Records. So when we signed and we went round Virgin Records, there was like the Mini from the Spice Girls video, like in like the foyer, and Melanie C was there, and like I was just like crying like an absolute lunatic. Oh, it's this Spice Girls. But it was so overwhelming. I've not long left school, and I've got you posted on my wall, and now I'm, getting advice about music, my music career from you. But Robbie signed to Virgin, and we were doing this private club gig in Cannes. I think they were in Cannes or Saint-Tropez, somewhere very nice. And we did a big show, and then afterwards we were doing a performance in this nightclub, and we had this big VIP area all to ourselves. So like there was us and the dancers, and I don't know, a few people from the record label. It was proper like OTT, like we had this massive space for not a lot of people. And then the next minute, who comes walking in? Robbie. We were like, ah! I was like, what? Like, and he was like, hey girls, we're label buddies now. I was in town, thought I'd come and say hello. And we literally just sat there, just like, with like jaw, like mouth open, just like, oh my God. And we were just chilling in the VIP with Robbie all night. It was rather fabulous.
And what was his nickname for you? Did you say?
Freckles. He kept calling me Freckles. And like, getting me like and kind of like rubbing the top of my head, and I was like, that was not what I wanted. I wanted more than a head pat.
Well, we'll move on now, and we'll mention another big name that I can't mention name. But so Prince William, there's a famous photo or a bit of a rumor going, wasn't he, back in the day? Tell me more about that. I mean, you don't get bigger than Prince William, the future king.
Probably the most mortifying experience of my whole career. It was so bad and so ridiculous that you just, do you know what again? Like you couldn't even write it. So I performed on my own at one of the Prince's Trust concerts. It was at the Tower of London. Big concert. And afterwards, there's the royal lineup. And they tell us where to stand. You know, you don't go near anyone. You just do a curtsy, or if they shake your hand, you shake the hand. I was at the end, and the only person I can remember being in this lineup, because I think he was stood next to me, was Chico. And then I remember he was a bit like, oh, hey, like, hi, I'm Chico, who are you? And I was like, I'm Natasha. And he just didn't have a clue who I was. He was just like, oh my God, this is so cringe.
Chico from X Factor. Anyway, Chico time.
Chico time. Yeah. So Chico stood next to me, he hasn't got a clue who I am. And Prince William comes along and he's shaking everyone's hand. He stops right in front of me and he goes, Natasha, like puts his hands up, because we have met Wills and Harry and Charles and the Queen before. Like, we've done a lot of different charity work and met them over the years quite a few times. So this is the first time I've seen Wills in about 3 or 4 years, and he goes, Natasha, and he puts his hands like either side of like my arms and goes in for a sweetie darling, you know, like a mwah, mwah, kiss, kiss on each cheek. Chico must have thought, what's going on here? Who's doesn't even know who I am, and Wills is like, Tash. So anyway, we did like a mwah, mwah. That was it. He was like, how are you? Lovely to see you. That was a great performance. Walks off. Don't think any more of it. Goes out to this bar afterwards, and I kid you not, I walked out of this bar club, and when I say there was 50 to 60 paparazzis all stood outside shouting my name with flashes going off in my face, and I was like, do they think I'm someone else? I'm confused. I was so confused. They wouldn't let me past. I had to like scramble past them. They were running down the street, they were falling over each other to picture me. And I was so confused, but I was a little bit drunk, and I just got in the taxi, went home, didn't think nothing more of it. Next morning, when I woke up, looked at my phone, I'd had like 1 million missed calls. And like my manager at the time had called me about 10 times, and I was like, oh shit, something bad's happened here. I was like, what's going on? He's like, have you seen the papers today? I was like, no, why? What's happened? What's happened? He's like, I think you best go and buy the paper. And I was like, why? And he's like, just go and buy the paper. So honestly, I thought something really bad's happened. Goes, gets the paper, and there's a picture of me and Wills on the front page of nearly every newspaper on the stand. When it looks like I'm trying to tongue him. Somebody, it's either something in the background, or somebody's like superimposed like something that looks like a tongue, and it looks like we're basically both snogging each other.
Right.
It was horrendous. I mean, at the time, everyone thought it was really funny. I was mortified because I was like, all the papers were. I opened one, and one was like, Kate versus Natasha. I was like, oh my God, I think they were engaged at the time. And I was like, this is really bad. This is really bad. And it was like me versus Kate, and it was saying like her education. And then it said like, Kate got 11 GCSEs, and said Natasha Hamilton went to Broughton Hall High School. I got 11 GCSEs as well, thanks. But you didn't want to write in because you want to make me look thick next to Kate. Anyway, it was just one of those days that you just wished you weren't born, basically. My phone was just blazing. Everyone wanted to speak to me, and I just wanted to die.
Have you had a chance to like get this off your chest before, or is this? It sounds to me like it's still raw. And have you just referred to Prince William as Wills? Did you just call him? It's Wills, is it? Just Wills.
This is it. Everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on with Tasha Wills?" And I was just like, "This is ridiculous." And I was actually seeing someone at the time. Luckily, they were there. They actually saw like the lineup and what happened, because that would have been some explaining to do the next day.
Yeah, I would say so. Right, so Natasha, so this is a good opportunity now in the last kind of 15 minutes of the pod to kind of discuss the world of celebrity. So we're obviously going to come into the up and coming tour that you're doing with Blue and some of your solo stuff, but I mean, you've told us two funny stories there, Natasha, about Robbie Williams and about, well, I say funny Prince William. But tell me this, now that you're older and you're wiser, and that you've regrouped with the band and you're going back out on tour and you've got kids and your mum and stuff like that, the world of celebrity, do you think that it's as bad as people make out, especially with social media these days? Or have you kind of sussed it out and you're kind of ahead of the game these days? How do you find it being a celebrity as such? I know it's a very, might sound like a stupid question, but it's something that this is my question to you. What's it like being a celebrity and being in the world of celebrity? Because you said at the beginning of the podcast, and you said to me off there, you're just like anyone else. You're just a mum from Liverpool doing your thing, but you're still in this world that's something for us as alien. How do you feel it's like these days?
I mean, I kind of just pop in and out of the world of celeb. I mean, I don't class myself as a celebrity. I'm a singer. I have a career. I sing. I perform. And obviously, we did the Euros last year, and that kind of pushed us back into the limelight very briefly. And for me, it's about keeping yourself safe. People are going to write, when you're a hot topic, hot subject, whatever, people are going to write about you. They're going to write good and they're going to write bad. So for me, I don't read what people write. It's like, I know who I am. There's nothing anyone else can write about me that is going to teach me something new about myself. And, sometimes people do, like, recently, what was that? I think I did a TV show, and I actually played for a local charity, just winning money for a charity that otherwise, wouldn't have got the spotlight. And, the next day, a local paper, all they're talking about is how I look. Oh, I look really different. Well, I'm fucking nearly 40 years old. Yeah, I do look different. They didn't mention nothing about the charity. It could have been a perfect example for a local paper to shine a light on a charity doing well in the local community. And all this is was right about how I looked. And I just looked at that, and maybe years ago it pissed me off, whereas now I just think, do you know what? Pick your battles. It's not my battle to fight. I've got my own social media platform. I put it on my own platform, why I was doing it. And unfortunately, the industry that we're in, it's obsessed with women, how you look, you're aging well, you're aging bad, what if you had done this, that, the other. For me, I'm just like, I don't really give a shit anymore. I'll do what I want to do that makes me happy. I'm not harming anyone. I'm just a singer. And I've just got to protect my energy really about what I allow in. And that's really important, because with social media, you're easily accessible. Now, for me, I prefer being on Instagram because I can be safe. There's loads of there's like a security setting on Instagram. So there's certain words that you can have not allowed onto your feed. And, I've been on Instagram for maybe 10 years now. So there's certain things that would come up over and over, and I've just blocked them now. So they don't even pop up. I don't see it. It's of no interest to me. So I can keep myself safe. And then obviously people can still message you because it's not a private account, and I just block them. I've got no time for bitching and people being rude. So I just block. That's it. It's like, protect my energy, protect, my feelings as much as I can. Obviously, sometimes things get out there and, a monster kind of gets created and you can't get away from it. That's the downside of the industry. You kind of now going back into it with the girls, you think, oh God, no doubt there will be a time where something comes out or something is said, your words are twisted, but you can't live in fear. You can't. I'd like to think that people who are interested in me follow me and they know the type of person I am. And I think also people are a lot more aware of clickbait and what the tabloids are like. 20 odd years ago, it was like, oh my God, it's in the paper, then it's definitely real. Most people.
Yeah, no. And do you know what? It's so interesting that you mentioned that particular article. That particular article I'm aware of the paper and stuff. I'm not going to give it no publicity, but it's funny and interesting to get your point of view from that. And it's something that someone like myself would never actually consider until you've mentioned it to me. I am aware of time, so I'm going to a quick question I want to ask as well. From Dan's actually for years, I spent at the time a clean fortune voting for you on Big Brother. What was that like? Quickly, what was that like? I mean, from me watching and what I remember, right, it looked like, how can I put this? A situation that you would never normally put yourself in. It's not normal, is it? So tell me briefly, how was that? You finished as a second or third, so you done okay out of it, didn't you?
Yeah, so I came third and I was the last woman in standing.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, you know, that was a brilliant achievement. I didn't think I'd last a week, honestly. I thought, thing is, I think because I was bullied so much as a kid, I hate injustice and I hate bullies. And I just went in there thinking, I'm not going to cause any problems here, but I'm definitely going to stand up for myself, and I will stand up for others if they don't have the voice to stand up for themselves. I was in there 10 minutes and all hell broke loose with Farah. I was just like, this is typical, because I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. And it was literally like being back at school, but you couldn't go home at the end of the day. You were eating, breathing, you know, living, sleeping with the enemy, 24 hours a day. And because you can't get away from it, it's really oppressive. It's a really oppressive atmosphere. It brings you down. I mean, I'm quite an upbeat person, and it's like, if I've got something to say, I'll say it and then I'll move on. But you know, when you've been doing that for like 2, 3, 4 weeks, it pulls you down. And there was one point, I think I was put on bed rest for like 2 days because my blood pressure was that high. I started feeling just like a bit dizzy and not right. And I've never had high blood pressure in my life. So that's how stressful it was in there. And then obviously I've got my infamous clip of, you know, when I just lost my shit with Austin, because like the backstory to that, my bed was as you walk into the bedroom right next to the door. And every night Austin would have a bevy and he'd be in and out that door like a yo-yo, not giving a shit about anyone else wanting to get a rest or get away from it. He'd be having murder with Janice. They would screaming across the room. And then this one night, it was all kicking off, and I just stood up, walked out and sat in the living room. And you know, when you just like, I'm going to lose my tether in a minute. And then he just said something to me. I wasn't even like talking to him, or I don't know. And I just snapped. I totally and utterly lost my shit.
I think I do remember the episode, yeah. But what's it like? Is it really real, Natasha? So quickly, are you told what to do, or you literally just threw in there and left to do what you have to do?
It's all real.
Yeah.
Everything is planned to create disharmony. Even it's like I went in there. It's a game. Right, it's a game, but I'm going to play it, and I don't want to lose it. So if I've got to be honest, I'll be honest. So like, you'd be doing quizzes, and it'd be like, who's the most two-faced person? And it was like the first person to hit it would get the point. So I'd be like, I want the point. And then you go, shit, now I have to say who the most annoying person is. And I'd be like, oh, Janice, whatever. And then Janice would be going, I just thought, it's a game, and you are the most annoying person. I just went in and said, just be honest and truthful to who you are. There was a lot of confrontation in there, and I didn't like that. And I think a lot of people wanted to see me kick off more, but you don't know how volatile someone else is. And it's like, I don't want to get punched in the face by someone because, you know, I was going in there for the paycheck to support my family. Now, if anything happens, like any altercations at all, you get kicked out and you don't get paid. So for me, it was like, I'm not coming all this way to leave with nothing. So that's why you kind of like, you sit back, but there are certain people in there who are just there to cause shit, and they love it.
Yeah, no, fair. Hey, no, fair enough, and thanks for being so honest with that. I am aware of time, Natasha, so what we will do is quickly we'll go into what you're doing now and these days. So I know you've done your own podcast, which is still out there. It's called Living Better with Natasha, isn't it? I have listened to some episodes, so I should be getting that right. That's right, isn't it, Natasha?
Yeah. So I did that during lockdown. Just wanted to talk about mental health, and also wanted to talk to other people, whether they are, you know, an expert in their field, what to do with mental health, or people in the public eye, just to tell their life story as well, and just make everyone realise that no matter where you're from and who you are, we all go through the same feelings and emotions. And it's okay not to feel okay. And a lot of my podcasts, I'd bring experts in to offer advice on how people could like deal with anxiety or past traumas and things like that. So I did really enjoy it. And then last year, I got offered a solo album deal, which was amazing. So
go into it.
Yeah, so I basically got a phone call one day. Steve, who manages my solo work, he was like, look, I think you've got an amazing voice and I'd like to do a solo project with you. It was so random. I thought it was a joke. I just laughed. And he was like, no, I'm being serious. I was like, oh, okay. So then last year, we were going to record the album at the beginning of the year, and we went into second lockdown, and we ended up doing most of it remotely, which for me was hell. You know, normally I'm in a recording studio jamming with someone, and a lot of it was done on Zoom. So it was such a bizarre process to write and, you know, get everything ready for an album. But then I think it was June time, I went to London and got the band together, and I recorded the album as live. So it was on a boat in the Thames called Soup Studios. And I was there in my little recording booth, and then the band were in the room next to me, and we literally recorded the album as live. So I'd say 99% of the album will just be one take. I did go back a few months ago and I re-recorded 3 of the songs because I just knew I could do it better. So maybe 100% of it will be live. Just waiting for that to all be finished and mastered. Cool. We were going to release that next month, but because Attomic Kitten's getting back together, we've pushed it to the end of the year. So I've got the tour with the girls. We're going to be Support Blue. We're going to be the special guests. We're doing a big arena tour, and then I'll do the solo album just off the back of that.
Yeah, well, so that is this year, 2022, the Heart and Soul Tour with Blue. I'm very much looking forward to coming to see you. For the first time I had, which I'm a little bit ashamed of, but I mean, never too late to see someone, especially I'm of that generation, so I'm looking forward to. And obviously, Natasha, all I can say, thank you so much. This is the first episode I've recorded. The first is always something you remember. You've given me a time of day, which I'm really, really grateful for. And all I can say is thank you so much, and good luck with the album in the future. Natasha, you're a diamond, and I'm proud to call you my cousin, and I'm proud to see you've been doing so well. And I don't know if you hear this a lot from people, but I mean that. I really am. I've looked at you my whole life and looked up to you, and I've never had a proper chance to say this. You know, we've got crazy busy lives, and we're from. There's about 400 cousins, but I just want to say thank you so much for giving me time of day. And we're going to finish on, let me get this right. I don't want to get it wrong in the first episode. A song that you've sung called "You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me" by Gladys Knight and the Pimps. And there's from the Boysdale Music Festival. Is that correct, Natasha?
So it was the Boysdale Music Awards, and I was awarded Best Female Singer. So I was very proud to achieve that accolade, and I performed this song. Jules Holland presented me the award, so it was quite a really amazing moment for me.
see you in a couple of years' time, Natasha, when I'm flying high. I'd love to do this face to face, and we'll dive a bit more into the world of celebrity and your stories from the tour gone by. So, in the meantime, thank you so much for listening to the Plenty of Ammo podcast, sponsored by Premier Commercial Kitchens. And yeah, thank you and goodbye.
Woo!
Thank you very much for giving me an award. I feel very privileged. So I've been singing for a long time. I started singing when I was about 12, got into a girl band, sang pop songs for a very long time, but my true passion lies with soul and funk. And I've been doing that for the past few years. And I just want to say thank you very much to Ranald, who has given me a platform to be able to showcase my voice to a lot of people who appreciate what I've got. And I just want to dedicate this song without getting too like sloshy or sentimental to my 4 beautiful children and my partner who couldn't be here tonight. This is Gladys Knight, You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. I've had my share of life's ups and downs, but fate's been kind. The downs have been few. Oh, and I guess you could say that I've been lucky. Oh, and I guess you could say that it's all because of you. If anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, oh, 'cause you'll be there between each line of pain and glory, 'cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Times were bad, but always somehow I made it through. And for every moment that I've been hurting, now we'll just you, yeah. If anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, oh, 'cause you'll be there between each line of pain and glory, 'cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, you're the best thing that